Geoff, how is your playing form? Because you have a lot of other things in your life nowadays that you're not touring. You're obviously doing your architecture and you run your own tournaments. So, have you got something left in the locker there as a player this week?
I guess we'll find out. I'm not really sure, to be honest. I've played less golf in the last 2 years than I've probably ever played since I was about 6 or 7, really. So, a bit hard done by in Victoria a little bit there for a while, but it's been okay. I mean, we played the Sandbell tournament, which went really well just up to Christmas, and I've been hitting a few at home and playing a fair bit of social golf, I guess, in the last few months. So we'll see. I mean, tournaments are different from home golf, but it's a bit like riding a bike. It's like I was sort of a bit uncomfortable, and I don't know, I'm just not that comfortable at home for some reason. As soon as I got on the range yesterday, it's like, oh, I remember this. This is what I do. So we'll see. Short game's usually the question mark when you come back after a long break, but I don't know. As I said, no expectations.
Talk to us a little about Royal Queensland, because I understand you're going to be doing some work here in the architecture sense in the future as well. So talk to us a bit about the new Royal Queensland and how that sets up for a tournament like this.
Yeah, I mean it's quite different. Obviously, there's obviously quite a lot of stuff here that's like the old Royal Queensland. Similar holes, like 10's the same, 17 was there, and quite a lot of stuff. But it's evolved into a really good course. It's actually I've been around it a lot, looking at it with the architecture eye, walking around, sort of critiquing it from that sense, but haven't actually played a serious round with the scorecard in my pocket here. So time will tell about sort of how that works, but I think it'll be great. It's just quite strategic. You've got to think about it. There's some really interesting decisions to make off a lot of tees, and it's not just bombs away. Always gets a bit windy in the afternoon, and it can get pretty firm here. So I don't know. Time will tell. I mean, it's almost impossible to guess what guys are going to shoot these days. I mean, look what Cam shot the other day. I mean, and Jonesy shot 23 under on the weekend, last weekend in Kapalua. So I mean, these guys everyone's really good here. So I think it'll be a good tournament. I think it's a great course. It's nice that it's getting a great field, men and women, to sort of show off Royal Queensland a little bit and how it can be played really well. And I think it'll be a good challenge for everyone.
Murray?
Geoff, you mentioned it before, the lack of golf in general for everyone. Can you just talk about what it's been like for the fraternity to have such a long time between drinks, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, well, I'm a little bit different. I kind of came back to Australia because I was ready. I was ready for a bit of a break. Sick of being on the road all the time. Missed Australia a lot. Wanted my kids to have a bit of time in Australia. And sort of 19, I think, was my sort of gap year plan. Sort of get home and then I was going to sort of head off and play 10, 15 and sort of, have my cake and eat it too, almost in the dream, just sort of play a part-time schedule but still get to live at home. And that didn't pan out, so you sort of pivot along, and I just tried to play a bit of social golf, and then Victoria we had golf, and then we didn't, and we had golf, and then we didn't. So I'm a little bit different from some of these guys. I feel a lot for these kids, sort of 19, 20, 21, who are all about to take that sort of get on the aeroplane and go to a Q school or go play overseas, and they've sort of been put on hold a little bit for the last 2 years, which is really tough. I think for a really awful time for that sort of thing to happen. But it'll build resiliency, and it'll sort of show their desire or no desire. If they've got the deep desire, it would have got stronger, I would have thought, not being able to do it. So it's been a tough run for everyone, but I think it's been great to watch. We've had Aussies winning all the time, and Minji's just won a major. I mean, Cam's been playing great. Minwoo played great this year. I mean, someone told me a stat, you guys I'm sure know it. We've won 20 or so tournaments in the last 2 years, Australians around the world, which is incredible, really. It's probably the strongest run of wins we've ever had, maybe, in this period. So we've all been sitting back here, and all these kids, they're all friends with these guys, so it's pretty inspirational and stuff. So I think it's been tough not being able to sort of freewheel it and just come and go wherever you please. The guys in Japan have had a really tough run. I mean, that's been a brutal run for those guys. They've spent half their last 2 years in hotel rooms, seeing Instagrams of them having chipping comps up hallways and stuff. So that's been tough for everyone, but it feels like golf and professional golf is in a really good state. I think our girls are a lot stronger than they've ever been. I think our female side of our game is getting great. We've got a ton of these kids who are, as I said, very enthusiastic and excited to get overseas because they've sort of been held back a little bit the last couple of years. So I think it's a really good period for us and good things coming. And wins like Cam's on the weekend just can only do everything but get everyone excited about doing it again.
That ties into something else I wanted to ask you just about the tournament and big tournaments in general here. Obviously harder and harder to get the guys back from the US, particularly when you have to reschedule. And then there's new tournaments popping up, like the Saudi tournaments popped up. It's another hurdle. But it sounds like there's a way forward without those big names. What do you think about that sort of battle that seems to come up every year, that struggle to get those big names back?
I think it's been there's been far too much focus on prize money and big name players. If you look at all, I mean, no one really minds who goes to play the Australian Open tennis. I mean, that's kind of a silly thing to say today, but they go anyway. You know, the Melbourne Cup's the biggest horse race in the world, and nobody cares what horses are running. They want to go anyway. I think we've sat down on Tuesday and Wednesday press conferences for the last 20 years in Australia and say, oh, isn't this a shame, Geoff? There's no one playing here this week, you know? And so who's going to come and support the tournament when we tell them don't come because there's no good players, you know? I think all pros are great players. I think we need to focus on building great events, sort of build them from the ground up again. We've had this sort of all or nothing approach that unless it's a big, massive event with top 10 players in the world, it's not worth having. I think if we can sort of go back to the basics, fundamentally sound events, just put them all on, give somewhere to play, build them up gradually, the big name players will gradually come. And I don't even think you need them for a great tournament. I mean, we come to a tournament. I think people come to golf tournaments for a couple of reasons. One is because they want to see people hit draws with drivers and people who can do stuff that they can't do. And everybody here can do that. And everyone here is impressive to a club golfer, if you ask me. And two, you go for the contest. And it doesn't matter if it's the 1,000th player in the world versus the 900th best player in the world, and 1 and 2. The contest is the contest, and that's exciting. You know, guys holding putts and hitting good shots and coming up with the stuff under pressure. I mean, I think it was like the Ashes test the other day. It wasn't really who won or lost that. It was just how good it was to watch. And I think all elite sport, including golf, is like that. If you have a great contest, it's appealing to watch. And I think if we can focus on that rather than who's not there, I think we can rebuild and create an unbelievable tour. I think golf's a massive sport in Australia. People love it. You know, you just got to give them a reason to come, not give them a reason not to come. You know.
You mentioned your own expectations are lower, but having watched you play the old tournament last couple of years, as you get into it, they seem to raise a little bit because you're getting used to it. How do you temper your expectations against not playing tournament golf? How do you keep yourself level-headed and not maybe go back to young Geoff, thinking about how you play?
Well, you tell me how to temper expectations and I'll put that into practice. But it's tough. I mean, I think it's partly why we are what we are, because we have set ourselves really high standards, and it's very easy to have no expectations today, but if I hit a few good shots today, all of a sudden I'm going to come out tomorrow all excited. That's really the challenge of a golfer, to be realistic and stay present and just hit good shot after good shot after good shot and to sort of add them up at the end and see how you do. You know, it's very easy to not miss a shot on the range on Thursday morning and bogey the first hole and the whole thing comes unraveled, you know. So I've been better and better at it, I think, over my career. I think that's just a maturity, growing up thing, and a understanding that golf never, or very often, doesn't go how you want it to go. So I'm still working on that. Hopefully I can just try to enjoy playing a golf tournament, I think, and that's usually a pretty good recipe. So we'll see. But I can't, if I do get grumpy or annoyed that I'm not scoring how I want to score, I need to admonish myself a little bit, because that's not realistic. You know, I just haven't done what I'd normally do, and I'll do my best to play good golf, and I'll do my best to keep my headspace in a good place, I guess.
And does that lack of tournament golf and help you avoid going down rabbit holes and things like that with golf swimming and everything like that, which you spoke about before? Tour events, it's easy to go that way, or do you still think a lot of golf when you're not playing tournament golf? Do you still stand in front of the mirror and look at back positions and
I haven't.
The putting cabinet and pick something different?
I have golf clubs all over my house. I've got the putting mat in front of the TV, and I haven't stopped swinging golf clubs I've made more practice swings in the last 2 years than I've made in the previous 35 years. You know, it never goes away. I think it's been a nice period for that, because when you're playing week in, week out, it's very difficult to really sort of take a deep dive into your golf swing and how you hit it, because you have to perform at the same time you're doing that. And I think really the only way to be honest and actually get somewhere with golf is to disregard how you're hitting it for a while. And when you're playing tournaments, that's really difficult, because it's very hard to just, with a bit of ego involved, it's hard to have a bad score knowing that you're on the way to a good score. So you end up sort of half working on it and half trying to play well at the same time. So it's been an interesting period. Yeah, I've probably, as I said, I'm constantly swinging. I'm constantly sort of trying to get deeper and deeper into why, when my swing went bad, why did it go bad? And the goal really is to be how simple can I make? Can I pare this down to a couple of 2 or 3 simple things that if I can stick to, then I'll be okay. Because we all have patterns that we fight our whole life, and I've been trying to sort of unravel why my pattern is my pattern, if that makes sense, you know.
Your chances this week, you played well in Queensland in the past. So, but you would have chipped and putted on grainy surfaces for a long time. Is that something you've spent the time with today and trying to get used to it? Or is it just riding bikes just come back to you? Or?
I think it's a bit of both. I think I certainly will be chipping and putting a lot today. Definitely chipping as well. I think Bermuda grass, I would say Bermuda, but 328 or whatever, Cooch or whatever we call it, grainy grass is different. When I first played it, when I first started coming up here for like amateur tournaments and stuff, I was just completely lost, you know. But after 15 or 20 years in the US, you play on this sort of grass 30% of the time probably, so I got a bit better at what I'm looking for, so it probably wouldn't take too long. I don't know if I could be completely back in home and accustomed to it by tomorrow morning, but certainly I think by the weekend I would be. So a lot of chips today, a lot of putts today, and try to let my learnt experience over the years sort of come out, if you like.
You're talking about the tournaments. I mean, probably from a media point of view, they still love to hang their hat on a big name. I mean, when you expect, because of COVID, that these guys have been stuck overseas for so long, that a couple of them now would say, we'd like to come home if things free up towards the end of the year with Opens, PGAs and things like that. The Cams, the Outlands, the Leashes, you know, Jason.
I imagine so. I would be. I think there was one summer I didn't come back, and by like about February I regretted it, you know, and I was just counting down the days until like November or whatever we could come back for the Open. I imagine if we can present a good looking schedule there in November, December this year, I think they'll all be very, very keen. Especially Leash, very Aussie, Cam's very Aussie, Scotty hasn't been here for a little bit. Yeah, I imagine we've got an opportunity this year, as you say, just by COVID and them having no golf to play in Australia for a couple of years. I think if it's smooth sailing or an easy way to do it this year, I think it's an opportunity to get them all to come back, absolutely.
Just on Minwoo Lee, you know, high strength play in the field, won the Scottish Open, about to play his first Masters in like April. What's your advice to him going into that first sort of Masters when he's there, you know, compared to your first Masters maybe?
I talked to Lucas about this actually, because he's about to go play his first one. I think the best thing you can do is go early before the tournament. You're gonna be a fan of the Masters, and you're gonna be open-eyed. It's like going to Disneyland for a kid the first time you go there. I think you got to get that out of the way, but you've got to allow yourself that because you've been waiting your whole life to get there. So you've got to go do that. So my advice to him, and as it was to Lucas, I said, if you can get there early, maybe call Cam or Leash or Scotty or someone and say, are you guys going in the week before the tournament? Can I come and tag along? Show me the ropes a little bit. Get it all out of your system. Dive down Magnolia Lane, go in the pro shop, buy all the merchandise, like go behind the trees on 13 and hit the shot that Phil hit, and do all that stuff. Get that stuff out of the way so that when you come back a week or so later for the Masters, that you've got that out of the way and you can play a golf tournament. Historically, they all say that you can't play well their first time, but I don't think that's true. I think you absolutely can. I think if you can get to the first tee and have all that sort of fan stuff out of the way, like the wide eyes, and like be ready to play on the first tee, I think you can do it. I think it's relatively simple course to play basically right, and then it's 50 years of experience to get all those little 1%ers, you know what I mean? So I would say go early and play as many practice rounds as you can with people who have been there for the longer they've been there, the more you should seek out their practice round. You know, Langer, Couples, Scotty, like all those guys, go play with them and see how they play, because they play it. They seem to hit it in spots where they don't ever make bogeys, and when you're a rookie there, you just seem to hit it in spots where you can't make pars. You know, so just watch how the experienced guys play it. And just get the visit out of the way so you can get back there on the Monday of the tournament week and just be ready to go.
Anyone else? Geoff, thanks very much.
No
Thanks for
worries.
coming.